Emma Harper almost walked out of the restaurant before her blind date even arrived. Looking back later, she would often wonder what might have happened if she had left 10 minutes earlier. She would never have met the little girl. She would never have heard those 6 life-changing words. And she would never have discovered that sometimes the greatest Christmas miracle arrives disguised as heartbreak. The restaurant glowed with warm holiday lights. Christmas music drifted softly through the room. Families laughed together. Couples exchanged gifts. Everywhere Emma looked, people seemed happy. Everyone except her. At 29 years old, Emma had spent most of her life feeling like she was never quite enough. She wasn't wealthy. She wasn't famous. She wasn't the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room. She worked as a kindergarten teacher, lived in a small apartment, and spent her weekends helping at community shelters. Her friends often told her she deserved more, but Emma rarely believed it herself. The blind date had been arranged by a coworker who insisted that this man was perfect for her. His name was Derek Sullivan. He was successful, handsome, and came from one of the most influential families in the city. His father owned multiple businesses. His mother regularly appeared in society magazines. People spoke about the Sullivan family as if they were royalty. Emma almost declined the invitation. But after years of loneliness, she finally agreed. Maybe, just maybe, life was about to surprise her. For the first 20 minutes she sat alone at the table. She checked her phone several times. She considered leaving twice. Then Derek finally arrived. He didn't apologize for being late. Instead, he glanced at her, looked disappointed, and sat down without smiling. Emma felt her stomach tighten immediately. Something wasn't right. The conversation lasted less than 15 minutes. Derek barely listened when she spoke. He checked his phone repeatedly. He interrupted her several times. Then came the moment she would never forget. Derek leaned back in his chair and laughed quietly. Honestly, he said, my mother showed me your photo, but I thought she was joking. Emma stared at him. What do you mean? She asked softly. Derek shrugged. Let's just say you're not exactly what I expected. The words hit harder than she wanted to admit. He continued speaking as if discussing the weather. You're a teacher. You rent an apartment. You don't really fit into my world. Around them, Christmas music continued playing. Waiters carried food to smiling families. Yet Emma suddenly felt completely alone. Derek stood up before she could respond. No hard feelings, he said. But this was obviously a mistake. Then he walked away. Just like that, Emma sat frozen. Several nearby diners had heard the exchange. She noticed sympathetic looks. Some people looked embarrassed for her. Others looked angry. Emma wished she could disappear. She stared down at the untouched dinner plate. Her eyes filled with tears. For several minutes she remained completely still. She wasn't crying because Derek rejected her. Deep down she already knew he wasn't someone she wanted in her life. What hurt was the humiliation. The feeling that once again someone had measured her worth using money, status, and appearances. Eventually she stood up to leave. She reached for her purse. Then she felt a tiny hand gently touch her arm. Emma turned around. Standing beside her was a little girl, no older than 5. The child had blonde curls, bright blue eyes, and a small teddy bear tucked under one arm. She looked up at Emma with complete seriousness. Are you okay? The little girl asked. Emma forced a smile. I'm fine. The child tilted her head. You're sad. Emma blinked. Children always seemed able to spot emotions adults tried to hide. Maybe a little, Emma admitted. The little girl thought for a moment. Then she asked a question that made the entire room go silent. Can you be my new mom? Emma stared in shock. Nearby diners turned toward them. Even the waiters stopped moving for a second. Before Emma could respond, a man's voice spoke from across the room. Lily. A tall man hurried toward them. His face turned red with embarrassment. I'm so sorry, he said. She shouldn't have said that. The little girl immediately looked guilty. Sorry, Daddy. The man knelt beside her. It's okay, sweetheart. Then he looked at Emma. Please forgive her. She's been through a lot. Emma shook her head. No, it's all right. The man introduced himself as Daniel Brooks. He explained that Lily's mother had died from cancer 2 years earlier. Since then, Lily occasionally asked women strange questions. Most people laughed. Some felt uncomfortable. But Lily never meant any harm. Emma smiled gently at the little girl. That's okay. Lily looked up hopefully. You're still nice. Daniel laughed softly. Yes, she is. Something about the exchange eased the heaviness inside Emma's heart. Before leaving, Daniel handed her a business card. I'd like to buy you dinner sometime, he said. A proper dinner. Not whatever disaster this was. Emma smiled for the first time that evening. Maybe. Christmas came and went. A week later Daniel called. Then they met for coffee. Then another coffee. Neither rushed anything. Both carried old wounds. Both understood loneliness. Daniel wasn't wealthy like Derek. He owned a small landscaping company and worked long hours. But he listened when Emma spoke. He remembered small details. Most importantly, he treated people with kindness. Lily quickly became attached to Emma. The little girl loved sharing stories, drawing pictures, and asking endless questions. Emma found herself looking forward to every visit. For the first time in years, life felt hopeful. Quietly hopeful. Yet not everyone was happy. Derek Sullivan soon learned that Emma had begun seeing someone else. Under normal circumstances he wouldn't have cared. But his mother discovered that Daniel's landscaping company had recently secured a major city contract worth millions. The business was growing rapidly. Suddenly the woman Derek had dismissed no longer seemed insignificant. Within weeks, Derek began contacting Emma. He apologized. He claimed he had made a mistake. He insisted they should meet again. Emma politely declined every invitation. Derek wasn't used to hearing no. His family had spent decades getting whatever they wanted. Rejection was unfamiliar territory. Soon rumors began circulating online. Anonymous posts criticized Daniel's company. Fake reviews appeared. Potential clients received misleading information. It didn't take long for Daniel to realize someone was targeting him. But proving it was another matter. The attacks continued for months. Business slowed. Stress increased. Yet Daniel remained calm. Truth has a way of catching up, he often said. Emma admired that patience. She wanted to fight back immediately. Daniel preferred letting facts speak for themselves. Meanwhile Lily continued bringing joy into their lives. One afternoon she handed Emma a drawing. It showed 3 people holding hands beneath a Christmas tree. Above them she had written 4 simple words. My family. Emma felt tears forming instantly. She looked at Daniel. He smiled quietly. Neither needed to say anything. Months later, everything changed. A former employee from Derek's family's marketing firm came forward with evidence. Emails, payment records, internal messages. The documents revealed that Derek had secretly organized the campaign against Daniel's company after Emma rejected him. The evidence spread quickly. Local news stations picked up the story. Business partners distanced themselves from the Sullivan family. For the first time, Derek faced public consequences. His reputation suffered enormous damage. Several contracts disappeared. Investors withdrew support. The powerful family that once seemed untouchable suddenly found itself answering uncomfortable questions. Emma watched the news coverage with mixed emotions. She didn't feel victorious. She felt relieved. The truth was finally visible. Daniel's company recovered quickly. Clients returned. New opportunities appeared. Yet the greatest moment came months later at a charity Christmas event. The same restaurant where Emma had once been humiliated hosted a holiday fundraiser. Hundreds attended. Families filled every table. Christmas lights decorated every corner. Daniel stood beside Emma. Lily held both their hands. During the event, the restaurant owner approached the stage and announced a special recognition award for community service. To Emma's surprise, her name was called. She walked onto the stage as applause filled the room. The owner smiled warmly. This woman spends her weekends helping children, supporting families, and expecting nothing in return. Emma felt overwhelmed. Then she noticed someone sitting at a table near the back. Derek. He watched silently as the room celebrated the woman he once dismissed. For a brief moment their eyes met. Emma saw regret on his face. But she also realized something important. She no longer needed his approval. She never had. When the applause ended, Emma returned to her seat. Lily immediately climbed into her lap. The little girl wrapped her arms around Emma's neck and whispered something. I asked you a question last Christmas. Emma smiled. You did. Lily grinned. You never answered. Emma laughed softly. Which question? Lily's eyes sparkled. Will you be my new mom? Tears filled Emma's eyes instantly. Around them, Christmas music played quietly. Daniel looked at her with hope and nervousness. The restaurant seemed to disappear. For a moment, there was only the little girl waiting for an answer. Emma gently brushed a strand of hair from Lily's face. Then she smiled through her tears. "Yes, sweetheart," she whispered. "I'd love to be your mom." Lily squealed with happiness and hugged her as tightly as possible. Several nearby guests began crying. Daniel wiped his eyes and laughed at the same time. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, Emma stood beside the fireplace in their home watching Lily hang ornaments on the tree. Daniel wrapped his arms around her shoulders. The room glowed with warmth and laughter. Looking around, Emma remembered the humiliation she had felt at that blind date. At the time, it felt like one of the worst nights of her life. But if Derek had been kind, she never would have met Lily. If she hadn't been rejected, she never would have found the family she always dreamed of. Sometimes life breaks your heart not to punish you, but to guide you somewhere better. Sometimes rejection is not the end of the story. Sometimes it is the beginning of the chapter you were meant to find all along. And every Christmas after that, whenever Lily told people how she met her mom, she always smiled and said the same thing. "I found her when she was sad. So I decided to keep her forever."